Can you read what is written on the screen, dear students? Any one of you,
The
please?
P block, the P block elements.
Okay, great. So uh, let us start the class now. So, my dear students, we want to study Unit 11, that is the P block elements. We shall start studying this chapter in detail now. Let us look the first thing written in your textbook. The variation in properties of p block elements due to the influence of d and f elements, d and f electrons in the inner core of the heavier elements make their chemistry interesting. So my dear students, we are going to study a very interesting chemistry, that is the chemistry of our p block elements. So let us start studying about the uh, p block elements. The element in which, this is the definition that we can write for our p block element, the element in which the last filled electron enters into the p orbital, such element is called the p block elements. So this is the definition for our p block element, my dear students, that if the last filled electron goes into the p orbital, that element is called p block elements. We know that the number of p orbital is 3. We generally p orbital, we represent them in this manner. One of them is px, py, and pz, and thus we can fill total uh, 3 electrons in the clockwise manner and 3 electrons into anti-clockwise manner. So total we can fill 6 electrons. We know that the number of p orbital is 3, so maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a set of p orbital is 6. And that is why, my dear students, in the periodic table, in the p block, we have 6 groups present into them. Consequently, or due to that reason, there are 6 groups of p block elements in the periodic table. So group number 13 to group number 18 are the elements of p block. Group number 13 has the first element boron. Group number 14 that has the first element carbon. Group number 15 has the first element nitrogen. Group number 16 has the first element oxygen. Group number 17 has the first element fluorine, and group number 18 has the first element helium. Here these groups means they are the first element of this group number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, my dear students. Out of all these elements, if you look into them, you will find that, my dear students, that it is the helium only. It is the helium only that belongs to the first period. Otherwise, my dear students, this boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine, these all elements belong to the second period. So this is how we understand about them. The general electronic configuration for these elements, my dear students, we can write as inert gas NS2 NP128. But sometimes what happens in between this NS2 and NP, there are some N-1 d orbital present, and sometimes N-2 f orbitals are also present. So this is not exactly the general electronic configuration. We cannot say this is exact general electronic configuration, but this is the kind of electronic configuration we can see almost in all the elements present into them. Some elements have also have N-1d electron present. Some elements also have N-2f electrons are also present. But as far as helium is concerned, the electronic configuration is 1s2, and that is why we cannot even say this is the general electronic configuration for helium, because helium has got the electronic configuration 1s2. So you can see that there are so much of variety present into the p block elements. Valence shell electronic configuration. So now we can say that we can write the general valence shell electronic configuration. We can write NS2 NP126, my dear students. But again, still in valence shell, sometimes we have N-1 d orbital or n-2 f orbitals are also found present. When you will study the electronic configuration, you will realize it well. The inner core of electronic configuration may, however, differ. So this inner core means the d and f orbitals are also present, and that is why the electronic configuration differs from the general electronic configuration. The difference in inner core of the electronic configuration may influence their physical and chemical properties. So due to the change into the inner core electronic configuration, some of their chemical and physical properties are also get changed, such as atomic radii. So which are those properties which are found to be changed or found to be different? Atomic radii, then we have ionic radii, then we have ionization enthalpy, etc., as well as some chemical properties also changes. A lot of variation in the properties of element in a group of P block is observed, and that is why the chemistry of P block is more interesting. The maximum oxidation state shown by P block element is equal to the total number of valence electrons, that is the sum of the S block or P block, or we can say that the sum of the S orbital electron, the electrons present into the S orbital and the electron present into the P orbital. So if we take the sum of S electron plus P electron, this is what it gives us the maximum oxidation state. Maximum oxidation state for the element of P block. Once again, my dear students, I would like to share with you that we have group number 18. This group number 18 has helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. These all are the inert gases, my dear students. They are also called the noble gases. And they do not generally show the variable oxidation state, and their valency is considered to be 0 because they are inert gases and they do not form much compounds. Some of the elements like xenon and krypton, they show some of the reactivity and produce some compounds but they are also very small in number. So clearly, my dear students, now we can say that the number of possible oxidation state increases towards the right of the periodic table. So as you go right side, the number of oxidation state can be increased. The P block elements also have so-called group oxidation state so this group oxidation state, apart from this group oxidation state, my dear students, apart from that, they may show other oxidation state too. So if we really want to write about the group oxidation state for group number 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17, my dear students, we can write the group oxidation state is 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. But generally you will find lots of variation into their group oxidation state, and you will see that they even show other oxidation state too. Generally, the last and the second last element show variable oxidation state which differ by 2 due to the inert pair effect. Please remember, my dear students, that in a P block elements, the last element of the group and second last element of the group, they show a specific kind of oxidation state which differs by 2 units, which differs by 2 units. So for example, if you think of the group number 13, you have boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. So this indium and thallium, they generally show +1 and +3 oxidation state due to inert pair effect. Same way, my dear students, if you look into the group number 14, my dear students, in group number 14 we have carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. So this second they show the +2 and +4 oxidation state, and this is how they differ from each other by 2 units. And this is what they show because of one special characteristics, and that is what it is known as the inert pair effect. We will even discuss this inert pair effect in detail during our discussion. Please remember, my dear students, we in 11th class we will study the group number 13 as well as group number 14. It is interesting to note that, my dear students, it is interesting to note that non-metals and metalloids exist only in the p block of the periodic table. Please mind well, my dear students, please remember it well, that in S block elements, my dear students, all metals. In D block, all the elements are the metals. In F block, all the elements present are the metals. Only P block is the block of the periodic table which contains the non-metals as well as metalloids. In the other groups or in the other blocks, we would not find the non-metals as well as metalloids. Only it is the P block that contains non-metals as well as the metalloids. Non-metallic character decreases down the group. In fact, the heaviest element in each P block group is the most metallic in nature. So if you go down the group, my dear students, for example, if we think of group number 13, we have boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. Same way, if we look into the group number 14, we have carbon, silicon, germanium, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. So the heaviest element which is shown, or the last element we are talking about, they are mostly the metallic in nature and they are the most metallic in nature. That is what we can easily understand regarding these P block elements. Now, my dear students, the change in the non-metallic to metallic character brings diversity in the properties of the P block elements. So we see lots of variations into the P block elements, and we can see this P block element variation or lots of variation into the properties of the P block elements going down the group. We can see this variation because when we go down the group, my dear students, the property or the element changes from the non-metal to the metal, and sometimes we have metalloids or semiconductors are even present in these groups, and that is why there is lots of variation that we can observe in case of when we study the P block elements and their group collectively. The change in non-metallic to metallic character is the best illustrated by the oxides of these elements, or is best explained by the oxides these elements form, my dear students. So let's move forward and understand. The non-metals form the acidic oxides and the neutral oxides, while the metal form the basic oxides and amphoteric oxides. So if you really look into the carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead, the oxides of leads are generally basic. The oxides of germanium and silicon, most probably germanium, we can say they are amphoteric. The oxides of silicon is acidic, my dear students. Same way, if you look into the oxides of carbon, CO2 is acidic, whereas CO is neutral. So you can see that we have basic, amphoteric, acidic as well as neutral oxides present into this group, and this is how, my dear students, we can understand that as you go down the group, the character from non-metal turns into metal. So this is how, my dear students, we understand the transition from non-metallic to metallic character when we go down the group. First element of group 13 to group 18 even show the anomalous behavior. This is what we have seen into the S block element also, that the first element of the group, if it belongs to the period number 2, it is different from the other elements because of the small size, high value of ionization energy, as well as the high value of electronegativity, and non-availability of d orbital. So as the d orbitals are not even available in this case, non-availability of d orbital. These are the major reasons that separates the first element of the group to the with the other elements. They also show the diagonal relationship, my dear students, and we have studied the diagonal relationship for our lithium as well as beryllium. So they show the anomalous behavior due to the small size, high ionization enthalpy, high electron gain enthalpy, non-availability of vacant d orbitals. As boron has a covalence up to 4 restricted due to the non-availability of vacant d orbital, and that is why boron can form BF4 minus. So BF4 minus is possible, but aluminum can form AlF6 minus 3. But same way BF6 minus 3 is not possible. And this is what it is not possible due to the non-availability of d orbitals, non-availability of vacant d orbitals in case of the boron. First element of the group can make p-pi bond. This is even a very important and interesting characteristic, my dear students, that the first element can make p-pi bond. P-pi bond is the bond which is used by two elements using their p orbitals above and under the plane of their atoms. And this kind of p-pi bond, for making p-pi bond, the size should be very small. The size is needed to be very small, and that is possible only in case of the group, in case of the period 2 elements, and that is why only period 2 or the first element of this group can make the p-pi bond. The other elements generally make the d-pi kind of bond using the d orbital with the p orbital of the small element. So the first element only can make d-pi bond, other can make the d-pi, the first element can only make p-pi bond, other element will form the d-pi bond. Group 15 begins with the nitrogen and can have +5 oxidation state. Please remember, this is the interesting thing, that nitrogen can show +5 oxidation state. You can see the compound of nitrogen N2O5. In this N2O5, nitrogen show +5 oxidation state. But my dear students, the covalence or maximum number of bond nitrogen can make is equal to 4. So please remember that nitrogen, group 5 begins with nitrogen, can have +5 oxidation state, but its covalence is limited up to 4. So it can maximum make 4 bonds. If you look into the N2O5 structure, my dear students, you will find that each nitrogen is bonded in this manner. And thus you can see the number of bonds a nitrogen can make: 1, 2, 3, and 4. So its covalence is limited up to 4. Though it shows the +5 oxidation state, the nitrogen in N2O5 just have the covalence up to 4, and that is what it is because the covalency of nitrogen, if you look into the electronic configuration of nitrogen, my dear students, nitrogen, that is 714, the electronic configuration is helium, 2s2, 2p3. So you can see that 1 2s and 3 2p are only available for making 4 bonds, 1 2 3 and 4 bonds. As 2d is not possible, there are no d orbitals available into the valence of the nitrogen, and that is why 1 2 3 and maximum 4 bonds is possible. Maximum 4 bonds is possible in case of nitrogen. So these were some of the general characteristics which I wanted to share with you, my dear students. Now we are going to study about the group 13 in detail. Now we will discuss everything about group 13 separately. Group 13 is known as the boron family, my dear students. So now let us start studying about the boron family and its various properties. This group of elements show a wide variation in the properties. Boron is fairly rare element a typical non-metal. Please remember that boron is not found easily into the environment, and it is a rare element. Hardly it is found, and its percentage or its proportion on the earth is very small. And please remember that it is a typical non-metal, so it shows the characteristics of the non-metals. Aluminium is a metal somewhat similar to boron. So aluminium is metal and it is very similar to boron. See, this is what it makes a variety of aluminium. Aluminium, it is a metal. Boron is a non-metal. And still, boron and aluminium, somewhat they are similar to each other. Gallium, indium, and thallium are exclusively metallic in nature. So we can say that there are some characteristics in aluminium which are similar to the non-metal. So this is what you can see, the transition from the non-metallic character to the metallic character. Gallium, indium, and thallium, they are typical metals and they do not show any kind of characteristics of the non-metals. Now there is one speciality into the gallium. Gallium is a metal with low melting point, even lower than our body temperature. Please remember that the melting point of gallium is even lower than our body temperature. Gallium melts in our fist. If we take gallium and put in our hand and then we make fist, and if we keep the fist as usual for some minutes, the gallium is going to be melted, and this is how the gallium melts at our body temperature, my dear students. Now let us understand the occurrence, how these elements are found into the nature. Boron mainly occurs as a orthoboric acid, S3BO3. This S3BO3, my dear students, you can even write it as BOH thrice. So S3BO3 is nothing but BOH thrice. It is also found in the form of the borax, Na2B4O7 into 4H2O or sometimes 10H2O. In India, borax occurs in a Puga valley, that is Ladakh, in a Sambar lake, that is Rajasthan. The abundance of boron in Earth's crust is less than the 0.0001% by mass. So that is how you can say that boron is a rare element. So boron is a rare element, my dear students, because the abundance of boron is very much less. Here it is better if we write 10H2O, my dear students. Yes, my dear students, let's move forward. There are two isotopic forms of boron, my dear students. We can see the various isotopic forms of borons, and boron exists as a 2 isotope. We are well aware that the atomic number is same, but atomic mass number is different. So there are 2 isotopic forms of boron. One is 5 boron 10, which is found into 90%, and then the next one is, my dear students, 5B11, which is existing almost up to 81%. Aluminium is the most abundant metal and third most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Please remember that aluminium is the most abundant metal and the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust, which is 8.3% by mass. After oxygen, oxygen has got 45.5% and silicon 27.7% by mass. Now, bauxite Al2O3 into twice H2O and cryolite Na3Al(F6) are the important minerals of aluminiums. In India, aluminium is found as a mica. Mica is also an ore of an aluminium in the Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Orissa, and Jammu. Gallium, indium, and thallium are less abundant element in the nature. So, my dear students, the gallium, indium, and thallium are not found much into the Earth's crust. Now, let us study about the electronic configuration. You can see that boron has the electronic configuration helium 2s2 2p1, aluminium neon 3s2 3p1, gallium argon 4s2 3d1 3d10 4p1, indium krypton 5s2 4d10 5p1, thallium xenon 6s2 4f14 5d10 6p1. So you can see that outer electronic configuration of this element is ns2np1. A close look at the electronic configuration suggests that if we look into this electronic configuration closely, we will find that Boron and aluminum have noble gas core. Gallium and indium have noble gas plus 10d electrons core, and thallium has noble gas plus 14.5 f electrons plus 10d electrons. So this is how you can easily understand, my dear students, that some element has only the noble gas as a core, some element has got noble gas plus 10d electrons, some elements have noble gas plus 14 f electrons and 10d electrons. So the inner core of the element or inner core electronic configuration of this element changes, and that is what it makes the variety of the chemical properties as well as the physical properties. Now, my dear students, we are going to study about the atomic radii. On moving down the group, my dear students, for each successive member, one extra shell is added. So as we go down the group, each time one extra shell is added, and therefore atomic radius is expected to increase. But however, a deviation can be seen. Now what deviation? Atomic radius of gallium is less than the atomic radius of aluminium. This is the important reason you may be asked into your exams, that give reason atomic radius of gallium is less than the atomic radius of aluminium. Generally what happens going down the group, the atomic radius should increase. But as you move from aluminium to gallium, instead of radium increases. Here from going aluminium to gallium, the atomic radius decreases. Why? What is the reason? Let us study. This anomaly or this abnormal property or this abnormal behavior can be understood from the variation in the inner core of the electronic configuration. So this is what we can easily understand if you look into the electronic configuration. If you look into the aluminium, my dear students, the electronic configuration is neon 3s2 3p1. Here 3d orbital remains vacant. But my dear students, when we look at the electronic configuration of gallium, argon 4s2, this 3d is filled into the gallium 3d10 and 4p1. So we can even write it as this way: 3d10 4s2 4p1. So when you move from aluminium to gallium, my dear students, this is what you can understand by this way. Let me explain this to you, my dear student, that suppose this is the nucleus. When we have the nucleus, we have the various shells, my dear students. In this cell, suppose this is your n is equal to 1, this is n is equal to 2, this is n is equal to 3. So you have here 1s, here you have 2s and 2p, then you have 3s. Actually, I should show them in some different manner. I should show them this way: 1s, then my dear students, you have 2s, then you have 2p, then you have 3s, 3p, and you have 3d. Then my dear students, you have 4s, and then you have 4p. So you can see that the 4s electron first go, and then the 10 electron goes into the inside inner shell. The distance between the 4s and nucleus, the distance between the 3d and nucleus is less, and this d takes 10 electron. So my dear students, after filling 4s, after going 2 electrons into the 4s, my dear students, 10 electron goes into the 3d. Thus, when 10 electrons are filled into 3d, some 10 protons are also added to the nucleus. That is what it causes increase into the nuclear charge. Increase in the nuclear charge. Please remember one very important characteristics, that the screening or shielding of d orbital and of f orbital is poor. So when it comes to the blocking, when it comes to the screening, when it comes to the screening of this nuclear charge, this d orbital and f orbital are weak. So this d orbital cause weak screening. These are the important things you should understand, my dear students. So if you understand that when we go from aluminium to gallium, what happens? The 10 electron goes into the inner shell, which is 3d shell, or the third shell. After filling of 4s orbital, 10 electron goes into the d orbital. So from the electronic configuration, we can realize that 3d is an orbital which is present into the inner shell, my dear students. So when we look into the electronic configuration, we can easily realize, my dear student, that 3d is vacant in aluminium valence and is filled for gallium in the inner shell. So after filling of 2 electron into 4s, 10 electron goes into inner 3d orbital, which is more near to the nucleus. Thus, nuclear charge is increased by 10, but the electrons are filled in inner shell. 10 electrons filled in the 3d orbital even causes poor screening for 4p 1 electron, thus leads to the contraction, and thus the size of gallium is less than the size of aluminium. So my dear students, the effective nuclear charge on the fourth shell, which is there on 4p, when the 1 electron goes into 4p, this nuclear charge attracts this 4p very strongly. And that is what it caused the contraction. Contraction means in Hindi you can call it as a sikudna. The size decreases. So as the contraction takes place, my dear students, and due to contraction, the size decreases, and that is how we can easily understand that the size of gallium is smaller than the size of the aluminium. Now, my dear students, we should study about the ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy value does not show a regularity in group 13. Now, please remember, my dear students, in group 13 we have elements like boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, and thallium. You know that aluminium show only one oxidation state, and that is only +3 oxidation state. Now, if aluminium has to make +3 oxidation state, my dear students, you should know that when it comes to the making of 3 oxidation state, what happens? Aluminium has to first lose 1 electron, and at that time the change into the enthalpy is known as delta IH1, which we call it first ionization enthalpy. Then, my dear students, aluminium +1 give aluminium +2, and again it loses 1 electron, and at that time the change into the ionization enthalpy is called second ionization enthalpy. Then again, my dear students, when aluminium when aluminium +2 is there, it again loses 1 electron and causes aluminium +3 ion, and at that time the enthalpy change is known as the third ionization enthalpy. So when aluminium forms aluminium +3, we have first ionization enthalpy, second ionization enthalpy, and third ionization enthalpy. So it is very easy to understand that the sum of these three, when we do this sum, it is going to be very high. So my dear students, that there are some variations, or when we compare the ionization enthalpy of this element with the element of group number 2 or with the element of group number 4, you can see that we will be studying the first, second as well as the third ionization enthalpy. Even when we compare the ionization enthalpies of this element with the other element, we will be comparing all the 3 types of ionization enthalpy: first ionization enthalpy, second ionization enthalpy, and third ionization enthalpy. As the result, we will not find the very similar characteristics as it was expected from these elements. So that is why I have written here that ionization enthalpy values does not show a regularity in group 13. Now let us understand and read it well, or understand it well. Going down the group, ionization enthalpy should decrease. But going from aluminium to gallium, as you know that the size of aluminium is bigger than the size of gallium, and that is why it cannot lose easily. Gallium cannot lose electron easily. So but going from aluminium to gallium and going from indium to thallium, my dear students, the ionization enthalpy value, instead of decreasing, it increases. Now we will study why this happens, or why this anomaly can be seen, that while going from boron to aluminum to gallium, and while going from the last two elements, why this ionization enthalpy increases instead of it decreases. The abnormal increase can be understood by looking into the electronic configuration. We have already seen that in case of the gallium, the 3d orbital is filled with the 10 electrons that increases the nuclear charge and decreases the size. Going from aluminum to gallium, size decreases and 10 electrons filled in the inner core of gallium show poor screening. So increased nuclear charge due to the increase in the atomic number is not overcome by poor screening. Thus outermost electron is strongly attracted. Thus the outermost electron which is filled into the 4p, my dear students, or is strongly attracted, my dear students, or by the nucleus that leads to requirement